Do you use your project recipes again or only once? Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are recycling a project recipe to do a layout for my Ireland scrapbook. I think it's going to be fun. Let's check out my workspace and we'll get started. All right, so I enjoyed putting this layout together. This was the project recipe for Craft Happy that you may recall from just a couple months ago. And it was super fun, and we used this really neat new punch that was called the Scalloped Crochet Border Punch. It was really, really cool. We are not using that punch today. We're going to use the Dine-In punch, which is going to be a little bit of a different experience because the Scalloped Crochet Border Punch is an edge punch, so it stays attached to the paper you're punching it from, whereas the Dine-In punch is a chain punch and it separates. So that's going to be just a little bit different. At least I believe it separates. No, you know what? Actually, it may be just barely connected because look at these. These may be connected. We'll see when we punch it. It's been a while since I've used it, so I may be mistaken. Anyway, this will be fun to put together for a dinner that we spent in Galway, one of the last nights that we were in Ireland. So that's what we're going to put together today, and we're going to talk about kind of how you can utilize a project recipe for a paper pack that it wasn't designed to be used for. So first of all, I look at the project recipe and I try to determine, okay, do I have paper that would complement in the ways that they are using the paper here in this layout? Do I have a 12-inch stickers or something that I could make resemble a 12-inch sticker, maybe a border that I could punch or something like that? Do I have the appropriate complementing colors of cardstock? Do I have, embellishments that are going to go with whatever I'm going to create and put together? Because sometimes I use papers that were not meant to go together. Doesn't happen very often because I really like the convenience of knowing that all the colors match. But sometimes you end up with, a couple of papers that you really, really like and you really think will work well for a layout, and knowing whether they go together or not, is important. It's important to take a look at and make sure your cardstock is as close as possible to the main colors in that layout and that kind of thing. So those are things to consider. I also take a look at the arrangement of the photos and take a look at the photos that I have and try to determine, well, could I make the photos that I have work for the way they have their photos laid out here? Because I like to lay my photos out still in a chronological fashion, even if it's just for one event. I like to try to, as much as possible, it doesn't always happen, but I try to, as much as possible, kind of have the beginning of the event, the middle, and then the end, And because of that, some layouts work better than others for that type of scrapping. So it just kind of depends on what you like. Okay, so we are going to start by punching our base sheets, which is not something we typically do. I've got my permanent and repositionable adhesive here as well. We're going to set those to the side until we have all of our pieces ready to go. But the first thing that we're going to do is punch our base sheets. And these dark green cardstock sheets are the base sheets that I'm referring to. So we're going to set these to the side. These other sheets, both of these come from the Ireland theme pack that came out in early 2024. And that's a piece of Kelly Green cardstock because I know it matches these. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and punch one row on one side of each of these. And if you're not sure how to use the CM punches, you can refer to the video above and take a look at that, and it will run you through exactly how to use the CM punches. Look at it, it's separating. But you know what? That's going to really be okay, because I want to have control over flipping this around and making it go where I want it to go. So it'll all be good. It'll all work for our good. So we're just going to punch and slide till we get to the end, and here we are at the end. Just going to pinch that off, and I will grab my scissors and just trim this little teeny little bit, which happens sometimes if the paper we're punching, or I don't know, it can happen just if the paper is not within its normal, what is the word I'm searching for, guys? Sorry. I'm okay. All right, so we're going to do one more. Okay, and see, we still ended up with that same little bit tagging at the bottom, which is fine. We just have to come in here with our scissors and trim it just a little to get those little notches off. Okay, so done punching. I believe for now we're done punching, unless I decide that we need to highlight the punch somehow, which is a possibility, but we'll wait just for now. Okay, let's flip over to our cutting guide. This is the guide that we're going to follow to cut the remainder of our pieces. And I've decided ahead of time exactly which sheets I'm going to use for which designer piece of paper. So that is part of the consideration that I make when I'm using a project recipe that's not designed for the paper pack. I do a lot of, okay, so if the peach was this paper, then, and the blue was this paper, is that what I would want? You know, because then the green is going to be a different paper, and, you know, I try to visualize it in my head and try to get a sense of, is that going to be what I want? Could I flip the paper over and use the back side instead? You know, those kinds of things. And before I choose the paper, that's what I try to keep in mind. So I'm going to grab my trimmer, and I'm going to use this first piece of paper here, this green. And you'll remember, let me just, for reference, I'm stuttering too today. I'm going to pull this out so we can kind of see. So the peach pieces are going to be underneath our punched area. Okay, so I want that punch that is in dark green to stand out. So I'm not going to put it against this plaid back here because it won't stand out very well. The colors blend too much. But I could put it against this Kelly green and it would look really, really nice. See how that pops? Oh, you can't really see it very well because it's off camera. That's not helpful. See how that pops right off, and you can see it super, super nicely. Okay, so we want to use a solid, well, the tone-on-tone side without the Ireland down here for these first two strips. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those. Those need to be 2 by 12. So I'm going to measure them on the left side of my cutting line, and I'm looking down here at the grid lines to measure. Okay, so there's one piece. We're going to cut another one. There's 2. All right, and then we need a 4-inch piece, and the 4-inch piece, where's the 4-inch piece going to go? Let's just take a minute and look on here. It's piece C. Where is piece C? Oh, it's right here. Looks like it is behind these photos over here. So, because it is behind the photos, we could flip it and use the other side if we wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut it right here where we'll get just a little bit of this island, but not very much. So even if we wanted to use the Kelly green side, I think we would be okay. Wouldn't see a tremendous amount of that. Okay, so there's our 4x12 piece. Then the remaining bits we are going to cut in half. So we're going to turn it horizontally. We're going to cut it at 6 inches. And then we're going to take that, we're going to stack it on top of each other. And we're going to make triangles. So we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner and cut to the lower right-hand corner. I'm going to put both of those corners right on my cutting line. And just cut through. And sometimes when you're cutting a diagonal like this from corner to corner, it is helpful if you go just a little bit slower. I went pretty quickly there, but if you go just a little bit slower, sometimes it will help you get a better cut and you'll have less issues with your ends getting angry at you. Okay, so then we're going to take this paper, the Ireland and Emerald Isle words, and so this is a directional piece and we need to make sure that it stays directional. This is going to be the blue right here, so you can see that it's going to be, the bigger pieces are going to be horizontal in here. And then we've got some mats that are going to go underneath photos, and we've got a piece up here that will likely become a journal box. See how we've got that here? All right, so if we're following the project recipe exactly as it's designed, then we'll need this piece for a journal box. I think I will cut that, but I may end up foregoing it. We'll just see, or it may get relocated because my photos are not going to allow me to do that, but we'll get there in a minute. Okay, so first we're going to cut 2 4x12 inch pieces. So we're just going to line this up with the grid at 4 inches. There's one that's 4x12. We're going to cut another one that's going to be 4x12, but we're going to cut it down because the piece we need is only 10.5 inches long. So we're going to take our arm and move that out so we can measure 10.5 inches. So 10.5 inches. Then we're going to trim that right there, okay? See how I've got this really nice tan on the back? That would be perfect for journaling on because that's a nice tone on tone. Okay, we've got those two pieces, and this piece, actually, they do want us to flip it over and use the reverse side. So this is going to be our journal box. So we'll leave it flipped over and stick it over there. All right, so then we are going to take this last piece and we're going to measure it to 3.5 inches. This will be extra. Then we're going to turn this and we're going to make 3.5 inch squares with this paper. And I'm expecting to flip this over and use the beige side of this, the tone on tone that's on the back, just like our journal box. This piece is extra. So we'll just set that on to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and automatically flip those over. It says reverse on here, so that makes sense. And I want that contrast, so I'm going to, oops, not done with that yet. I was thinking I was done. We still have one more piece of cardstock to cut. Okay, so we need 2 4-inch pieces. We're going to cut some mats with this. So we're going to cut 2 4-inch by 12-inch pieces. And then this last piece I'm jumping the gun, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this into 4-inch squares. We don't need the last one, but these two we're going to cut into triangles. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that because they're handy. So corner to corner. Again, take your time. Make sure you're getting right to the corner. Okay. So there's those. And then these two we're going to stack. The first two 4-inch by 12-inch pieces we're stacking, and we're cutting them in half at 6 inches to make 4 mats. Okay, those are going to go right up there. And I'm going to leave these up here as well because those are also going to be mats. All right, this extra little 4-inch piece of cardstock, and we are good to go and ready to assemble. So only took us about 15 minutes to get that put together. I'm going to grab my base pages. So we've got this one, which is the last page of the chocolate, which will be the left side of this layout. And I've got a blank page for my next side. If you are working in the slide-in with the slide-in pages, then you will need a base page, or you will actually, no, you won't need a base page because you'll have your cardstock as your base page, but it gets a little bit tricky if you use a chain punch like I've used. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to show you how this is going to come together. First off, I am going to want these 2 by 12 pieces and my punched pieces. So we're going to grab the punched pieces, and I think one of these I still need to trim. Yeah, this one I need to trim just a little off of the end. Scooch. Because I didn't get these little extra little nibs. Okay, so I'm going to take my border. I'm going to make sure it's right side up. You'll notice when I punched it, it was upside down. So it really was okay that it was separating, because if it had been right side up, we would have had a problem. And we would have had to revamp a bunch more than I was planning to revamp. So what I probably would have done was just halted the video and started over with a different punch. But anyway, we're going to take this and we're going to center, or we're not going to center it. We're going to bring this so that it's all the way at the end and touching the right border of the paper. And the reason I want to do that is to give the illusion of it being connected, like it was supposed to be connected. All right, that is going to go right up the right-hand side of that layout. And then this one is going to go across the top. Now you could weld these together. If you are making this and you're using one of the pocket pages, I would recommend that you weld your pages together. Weld the 2-inch piece to your cardstock, and then proceed with adding this to your page. That way it will be more apt to stay connected and look nice for you. You will be happier, I think, in the long run. Okay, so this one's going to go up top. Let's go ahead and we'll just assemble these while we are all right. So we're going to go right up the left-hand side of the page, right with the jeeping. Okay, and then this one is going to go right across the top. I always start in the middle, and then I use my finger to make sure that the paper is even with the top edge. I find that helps me because my eyes don't always see that edge real clearly. Okay, so then we're going to take our cardstock, our dark green cardstock. We're going to add some adhesive. There's one for one side. This will be for the other side. Okay. And this is going to, rather than lining this up on the center jeeping like I normally would do, I'm actually going to line this up with my punched edge that's already on here. Line it up with the edge of my paper. Oh, for goodness sake. All right, so this is going to be too long. We need to trim it just a hair. It's going to be about a ½ inch too long. So let's go in here with our trimmer. I'm just trying to take a look and see which side of this did I set the adhesive back a little bit, just to make it so that I have to add a little less adhesive. Okay, maybe we'll save that to use another day soon. All right, we're just going to add just a little bit more adhesive in the high points, as they say, so that it stays down. We're going to need to trim this one too, but until we get there, we'll just set that off to the side. Okay, so we're going to add it again right up to the edge of that border that we punched, making sure we've got the edges of the page covered. There we go. Much better. Okay. Now we're going to do this side, and we need to trim that ½ inch off. So we'll come over here and do this side. Let's see. So we're not wasting too much adhesive. Just add a little more in the corner, maybe just a tiny bit more in this corner. I think we're good with the rest of that. So you need a 10 by 12 inch piece of cardstock for this part. And again, I'm going to start by adding or pushing it right up to the edge of this so that it gives the illusion that that punch came right off of this. We're not going to see it very much when we get this finished, so it's not super critical, but what we're going to do is we're going to let's take these other pieces and we'll lay them out so that we know where they're going to go. This one's going to go here. This one's going to go here. This one is going to go over the top of this. But before we do any of that, we have some sticker borders, some sticker borders to get down. So I pulled this from a pack that these other stickers here came from, and I'm sorry, I'm not remembering. If maybe you'll remember where these came from, which pack these came from. And if you do, would you put it in the comments? Because I know I've used it before and I had the name of it, but I've long since removed it from its packaging and I don't remember what it was called. What I really should do is write on the back of the paper when I take them out so that I remember. Anyway, we've got several, or 3 here at least, designs that we could use, and they're going to go right underneath the silverware and the plates. So I was kind of thinking that the flowers would be a nice addition to the page. Let's see what we think. We put that right there. There's a couple of spots that look like they should have come off with the sticker, or not come off with the sticker, but they are still stuck. So give me just a second while I poke those out. And I'm going to end up with them all over my fingers, but that's all right. So we're going to have little polka dots, little white polka dots all over my fingers, but that's okay. We're going to put this right along the edge of that, which I think really makes a nice highlight, these little flowers. And it will tie in really nicely to the embellishments we're going to use too, so works good. Let's see if I can get some of those white little things off my fingers. I'm going to have more, so I might as well just keep working. All right. Pop them off this one. Oh, some of them came off. That's lovely. Okay, hang on. Okay, got all those little points taken out. So we're going to just add this guy along the seam up here. Okay, so like that. Then we're going to take this paper and now according to the instructions, this paper is supposed to go overlap, but I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lift this off, this sticker that we just put down. I'm going to lift this off, I hope, and then put it down over the top of this. So this one will then go down underneath that. So we're going to make sure our words are the right direction, so we're not having to read upside down, because that would be bad. And we're going to put that there, and then our sticker's going to go down right over top of that. All right. Oh, they've got it just a little bit above the... Oh, come on, ladies. I'm not on the top of my game today. I'm sorry. Let's lift this guy up one more time. See if he'll come. with us to play nicely. Thank you. Okay, we're going to pop this one up. This will be easier. That's why I love my multi-purpose tool. It works with me when I am crazy. Okay, so we're going to put this up above the bottom of the page by about 1/4 of an inch just to add a little bit of a dynamic. I'm sure that that was the reason that that was done like that. All right, so we're going to push that down. Now this piece, I'm just going to set this out for right now, and we're going to take a look at this and just make sure it's what we want. So this one's going to go about 1/2 inch from the center. And we're going to take these. No, I'm getting the cart before the horse again. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and grab these corners. Now these are meant to go on the bottom edge. Am I right? Yeah, bottom edge. Like so, and like so. And then these will go over the top to create that look. Now we can either use this the Celtic knot, which matches this up here, or we could flip this over and use this on the back. So let's just see what that looks like and see if maybe we might like that better. I definitely think that the triangles stand out a little more using that plaid as our corner. What do we think? I like it because I think it also just brings in a little more of the blue that's down here. So I think I'm going to go with that. We're going to do the plaid. So let's go ahead. We're going to add these triangles in. The best way that I can recommend that you do the triangles is to do the one on the bottom. Okay. I'm going to do the one on the bottom. Then we're going to take the one that's going to go here on the top. Always put your repositionable adhesive all the way out to the edge. Okay. We're going to take we're going to do this one right here on this side. We're going to put the point right in the corner and line up the edge right along the left-hand side. Right, then you can grab this one that goes in the middle, and you should be able to get that place right where it needs to be. By using this straight edge. As long as your cuts are straight, then that will go on straight. Okay, then we're going to take these tone-on-tone mats, and they're going to go right in the center of each of those squares. So each of these corners will be right on the triangle, if that helps you to line it up properly. Okay, take a look at your words, if you have words or a directionality on this paper that you're using. Make sure that they are as straight up and down as you can make them before you adhere these down. All right, just like that. Then we're going to come in here with Let's use our permanent adhesive. Okay, this is going to go, like I said, about a 1/2 inch from the center. And we're going to go ahead and get that put down. We may adjust this and move it a little bit with my photos, depending on where the photos are going to go. That will determine where that's going to go. All right, now this right-hand side of the layout, we're going to grab this 12-inch by 4-inch piece with the words. We want this to line up with the similar piece on the other side of the layout. So the best way to do that is to line your pages up, and then you can visually see that you have this in the right place. That way, even if your measurements are a little bit off, it's okay because visually it all lines up. Okay, so that works well. Now you're going to take these pieces that you have made, and given the fact that we've used the plaid over on this side, I think I'm going to flip this over and use the plaid on this side, which is going to possibly change the corners that you're going to use it on. Okay, so we've got our green mats, which are going to go here and here and here. And we've got another one for over here, okay? And we're going to take these corners and we're going to add them to just underneath the mats. So you can either go under the lower corner or you can go under the upper corner. And depending on which side of the paper you decide you want to use, depending on which pattern you like best, will kind of determine, and which corner you cut them from will determine whether you are going to accent that corner or that corner for the upper one, or this corner on the bottom. Okay, so that's the way that is designed to lay out. And this one over here would lay out like this. Okay, so really, really nice way of doing that. Now, they've got this little journal box that goes right up there, and that is the standard layout of this project recipe. Pretty standard. I mean, we did a few things already that are a little bit different, but for the most part, that is the way that they've designed this project recipe to go. Now, from here on out, we are going to deviate just a little bit because it wouldn't be my pages if we weren't doing that, right? So I've got some photos I've already trimmed, which are going to go in these 3 positions right here. And these are of the food that we ate in the pub that night. This is my daughter showing that her piece of fried fish was as big as her hand. And she was just really amazed, which we all were, to be quite honest. That was a lot of fish for her. This is a piece of chicken, which was super yummy. And of course, the fries. You get fries with everything. She got sweet potato fries. Those are regular fries. This one, I can't remember who ordered this one, but this was a souffle. Look at that. Super cool. And mashed potatoes. The food there was awesome. Really, really yummy. We thoroughly enjoyed the food, which is why the pictures of the food, because I normally don't take a lot of pictures of food. I just don't. Not that that's a bad thing or anything, but I just don't take a lot of pictures of food. Okay, so we've got that. Now we also, because this is a new county, we're now in Galway, so we've got a new county that's going to go over here, and it is going to block a little bit of our utensils that are going up the side, but I've chosen to just accept that. It's okay, because I do want to document that we are in a new county. So we're going to add our little county, Galway marker that's going to go up the side here. All right, so this is going to go, and these, if you haven't been watching this whole Ireland series, then you would not necessarily know, but this is how I've been documenting when we change to a different area of the island. I made those on my Cricut, in case you're curious. I made them all actually before I ever started the project, so we have one more to go. That is not the last one, but it is pretty close to the last one. All right. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my corner. Just like that. We're going to do something a little bit different photo-wise, which is why I was mentioning that this may get moved. And visually, I can already see. Actually, though, let's just take a look. So these photos, yeah, we're going to need to move them over. Move that guy over just a little. So just going to pop this off real quick. Come on now. Thank you. Okay, and before I put that back down, I'm going to bring in my other photos so that we can make sure that they are in a good spot. Let's use our repositionable adhesive for these, just in case we have to move them around. Here again, this is because we took just a ton of different photos, and I would rather see my photos than see the papers. So yeah, I did some work on the layout to show you how to do the layout. Now I'm covering some of it up. That's okay with me. Might not be okay with you, but it is okay with me, because I would rather see the pictures than the papers. It's personal preference. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and do these other two. So we stayed at this hotel called the Park House. The Park House was a 4-star hotel, a very old hotel in Galway. And I am going to just overlap this just a little bit and pop that photo just a little higher, just to give it some definition and allow me more room for this without having to move this all the way. I don't really want to move it all the way over. I still want to have a little bit of that edge showing. So we're going to go with that. Okay. The Park House Hotel. Oops, this guy was supposed to go underneath there. Well, how should we do that? Maybe we'll put him underneath here. Trying to keep it all straight can sometimes drive you batty. Just saying. Okay, so that'll go there and help to kind of balance some of the colors, some of that bright, vibrant green. All right, that page is done except for possibly some embellishing. And let's take a look at this page now. I'm going to go ahead and add my triangle accents. On ahead of time so that it's easier for me to just tuck those in where I want them to go, and they will already be together. And this one, oh, wrong corner, that's okay. All right. Okay, and I'm going to remove this journal box just for right now till we get our photos put on here. So I've already sort of arranged the photos somewhat on this other sheet. So let me just tell you a little bit about these while I'm getting these down. Can you see all these pictures? Those are all individual pictures of different members of the community. Really, really neat to see in the pub where we ate dinner. Really a fun representation of the people from Galway. And I don't know, I just sort of fell in love with that. I thought it was just really, really cool. All right, so you'll recognize the brand of ice cream here, Murphy's. They had a Murphy's in Galway, and my son got so excited. And so when we were done at the pub, he and some of his cousins went in search of Murphy's, and were able to enjoy some ice cream again, which was lovely because they had such wonderful ice cream for us. I could trim this photo, but I'm not going to. And the reason I'm not going to is because I just love the ceiling. I don't know if you can see the dropped ceiling that they've got right here, but it's that punched tin, like a tin, I think they call it tin punch. Very nostalgic looking. And not something that we see often here in the States, but it was perfectly suited to this pub, and just was lovely how it reflected all the light, and really made it a fun place. Okay. Let's see. So this is going to be a little bit crowded. I've got a lot more photos that I'm putting on here than what they have originally designed this project recipe to include. But again, I am okay with it because I would rather see the pictures and my loved ones. So it really doesn't bother me. This, however, is going to go underneath. We'll try not to cut my mom out of the picture. There we go. And then this one's going to need to be trimmed just a little bit more. So grab my photo trimmer here. And we'll trim this just a little bit closer to the ice cream. If you ever get a chance to go to Ireland, search out the Murphy's ice cream. It's originally, from what I understand, it's originally from Dingle, which we fell in love with Dingle. Dingle was just a super fun place. And and just a really, really neat, wonderful flavors of a nice treat. We are an ice cream family. We really enjoy our ice cream, so it made a lot of sense to us to enjoy theirs. All right, so just trimming that because I remembered I had planned to trim that. And we're going to go ahead and add this one in. Let's go ahead and not trim this one either. That way it will be consistent with the one on the bottom. The thing is that this one's going to look a little bit more out of place because we okay, I'm going to make my photos touch here. That's a little bit different than what I would normally do. That's all right. Okay, that's going to go there. This is Galway. So this other photo over here, this is also Galway. You can see that. There's a little bit of a glare, sorry. That's a little bit better. We walked to find the pub that we ate at. We walked, this was about probably a quarter of a mile up the road from our hotel, maybe. And we crossed over this kind of interesting intersection that had several different pieces to it. Not your typical intersection. And the pub we ate at was kind of over here. So super fun place. Not a bad walk, and was actually very a nice stretch of the legs, as they would say. Okay, so I have a few extra photos that are going to go into, and when I say a few, I mean just two. I have two extra photos that are going to go into a Peekaboo Pocket. This is Emily. As we were walking over there, this had been painted on the wall of a shop that was closed. And Emily went and stood in front of it and said, "Look, Mom, I have wings." So we took her picture. And so that's going to go into a Peekaboo Pocket that will go over the top of that. And we're going to add the ice cream in here, which will go right here. All right. So Murphy's ice cream. All that does is cover up the dashboard of the bus that we were in. All right, so that's going to go there. So we probably won't use this journal box. I could probably add it in right here if I really wanted to, but I feel like that'd sort of be squeezing. I think what I'm more inclined to do is to tuck the journaling underneath a photo and give it a little tab for pulling out and reading and then tucking back. So I think that's probably what will happen here with this particular layout. Now I do have this mat, which has not found a home, and maybe we will just not use this, but it was designed to go underneath this photo, but I kind of don't think I'm going to worry about it. I think we're going to just save that and maybe use it somewhere else. That's going to go right there. Okay, so possibly some flowers we could add as an embellishment. Just a little. My fave. We ought to say my fave, because this was my favorite I think my favorite thing in any of the pubs was this wall of pictures. Emily and I were actually just talking about that as I was assembling everything for this. And she said, I just really loved all of those photos. And I said, me too. I really, really did love those. They were just so thoughtfully rendered. So we're going to just add, not a lot. We don't need a lot on this layout. But I am going to add just a little bit. And we'll add a little thing there. I wish this You Are My Sunshine was just a little smaller. It's kind of ginormous, and it takes up so much space. We could put it here because we don't really need to see that bit. Would pull a little more yellow over onto that side, which would be nice. All right, I'm talking myself into it. I love this. I love you like the sunflower loves the sun. So if we put that down right there, my husband likes to hum "You Are My Sunshine" to me, or at least he did years ago. I don't think he's done it lately, but it's a fond memory. And let's see, what else could we add in here besides just some of these flowers? Maybe we'll do Living Life to the Fullest. We'll add that in. I'm going to dust these so that they don't stick to my layout. We'll pop the flowers up also. These are foam squares as a little bit of a reinforcement. That guy's going to go right in there. I'm tempted to add this little flower to the My Favorite right there, but then that would make it an even number of things, not an odd number of things, which I've always been taught is not okay. I mean, not the best. But I don't know. I sort of feel like it's appropriate. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna just dust these three with my powder so that the stickers don't stick. And we'll be in business, as they say. All right. Have you ever used a project recipe over and used it with a different paper collection? I hope you have. If you haven't, I really hope that this inspires you to try that, because it is what they're meant for. They're meant to inspire us. They're meant to help us, to give us ideas and to be used in multiple ways. So I hope that that's something that you will consider doing if you have not already. If you have, I would love to know which ones you've used and how you've changed it up. Maybe what paper packs you've used with it. That would be fun to know and may inspire somebody else who reads through the comments. Gosh, we all read through the comments. It's super fun. Okay. Whoops. I am not. Okay. Knowing that is going to need to move, we can still tuck it behind the sticker, but I'm going to place this a little bit lower so it doesn't stick to what needs to move. Okay, so it's going to go right there. All right. That's going to do it for me today. I hope you all have a marvelous weekend. I hope you'll consider joining me for my virtual CROPTOBERFEST or for my December Days class that's coming up. And if you need information about that or want information about that, send me an email. The email is listed in the details of this video, and I would love to have you join us. There'll be more information forthcoming. Thanks so much, and until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Enjoy your day.